Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another X-Files episode. This is episode 9 of season 1, Space. And this week we're dealing with a very strange sort of thing. And the monster of the week here is more of a possessing presence, almost demonic in nature, which is very strange given that it allegedly came from space. It's a space demon. That's what I'm calling it. The series never really does address it. And honestly, this isn't one of the better episodes. So, yeah. Basically, one of the monster is a guy who's been possessed by, well, we're just going to address it right now. The face on Mars, if you're familiar with that. Yeah, he's being possessed by a ghost that is the face on Mars. I don't know how that's happened, but he is. Well, I know how it happened, but I don't know how that makes sense. Usually the X-Files is better than this. But anyway, so it opens showing the 1977 mission where they found water on Mars, and when they took a bunch of pictures and they found that face-looking thing on Mars, and it cuts back to Commander Belt, or Lieutenant Colonel Belt. I think he's commander later on, but he's the commander of this mission, and he gets basically possessed by the thing while he's on this mission in space. Meanwhile, Fox and Dana are being approached by this woman, Michelle, who received some strange things from the just some strange documents that suggest that someone's sabotaging the launch. There's a liftoff that was aborted seconds before it was supposed to go off, and fears that the next time that happens it'll be similarly compromised. So the agents are going in to investigate. Mulder also himself has an interest, as he wanted to be an astronaut when he was a kid. So he's really interesting, and he's a big fan of the commander that they're going to meet with, as he inspired him to basically go forward and kind of explore as a child. Things go on. They talk with him. He doesn't know anything about it, so they go to talk with some of the guys who are doing the work. They say they haven't seen any of this stuff before, and they haven't heard anything about it, even though Belt specifically said, hey, I issued this inspection. And the guy, Mulder's like, that's pretty weird. But there's not a lot they can do. Belt basically shoos them out, effectively. While Michelle's driving home, she sees a ghostly face, and it causes her to crash her car. And while they're going to, I think, mission control to look into something, which causes her to freak out. Mulder is interested in all this. And meanwhile, the space shuttle has the launch has gone off, but they found out that there's problems with it, and they go to Belt, who's going in the throes of a seizure, basically, and they coerce him into explaining. It's very difficult for him, but they explain how to fix it so the space shuttle can save itself effectively, because he's an expert on this sort of thing. He's hospitalized by some sort of presence. And things get worse for the astronauts, but eventually they do get they do get better. Apparently, at one point, the presence that was invading him leaves him and goes up into space to assault the ship, because apparently the alien just doesn't like people going into space for some reason. At the end of the day, they examine all the records and find that Belt knew about the faulty equipment in the Challenger accident, and there's a lot of they kind of debate back and forth whether or not he was in his right mind, or if the presence was possessing him the whole time. And they think that he's the one that sent the materials to Michelle in the first place to look into this. At the end of the day, this episode is not great. Belt does end up killing himself as well, because the presence is trying to leave his body while he's in the hospital, and he basically grabs onto it going, no, this ends now, and jumps out the window with it, theoretically killing it. Although, I honestly don't know if that's how that would work. It's a space ghost, as funny as that sounds. Yeah, this episode, not great. The bad guy is basically a space ghost that possesses people. And it just doesn't really work for me. The special effects for the ghost are laughably bad at this point. I mean, they might have been kind of scary back then, but it's just like an obvious, like, early 90s CGI. So it's not great. In addition, the whole idea of the space ghost is kind of, like, laughably bad. It's just mixing too many different paranormal things together. I mean, I guess you could render it's like a psychic projection, but it doesn't seem like a psychic projection, because a psychic projection would just be like the alien's like on Mars or something, and it just decides, I'm going to project my consciousness to this guy, possess him, take him over, do stuff, and then go back. That's how that should work. But that's not how this works. It works more like a ghost. So, yeah. This episode, as I said, not that great. I'm going to give it, I guess, 3 out of 10. I mean, it's watchable. The first time I saw it, it was kind of interesting, but in rewatch, it just doesn't really hold up all that well, honestly. So, check it out if you're really into it. This one doesn't really have anything to do with the Myth Arc. It is just a Monster of the Week, and it's not a great Monster of the Week at that. So, make of that what you will. Alright, folks. Next time, we're going to be checking out a good episode, or at least I like it. I assume the fans like it too, called Fallen Angel. Alright, I'll see you next time.